All right, apparently we got some Pistons fans inside our studio. A Game 1 win. It is a brand new edition of the association. We are presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Mike Yam, Q Rich, Chris Haynes with you. If you're a Pistons fan, after what you just experienced in the first round, I got to imagine there's like a little bit, Q, of a sigh of relief here that you get game number 1.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't want it to, be upside down like the Orlando series was. But I think, they got a good thing going against Cleveland right now.
Yeah, faced a little bit of adversity in that fourth quarter, but they withstood it. And Cade Cunningham, man, proved why he's one of the best in this league.
Yeah, no question. Meanwhile, we'll show you exactly how it transpired. And by the way, if you are new to the association in the postseason, as soon as the coaches and the players hit the podium, we will bring you those press conferences live here on NBA TV. But these are two teams that are familiar with each other, actually split the season series 2-2. All right, I guess we're not going to show the highlight. Meanwhile, I want to ask you, because you had said, hey, at one point you felt like there was some adversity. We actually showed.
Are we getting the highlights, Mike? What do we do? Okay.
All right, there's one point in this game, and I know Cunningham has got to feel that sense of relief. You touched on it before, some of the adversity in a game like this. Take me through, Q, from a player's perspective, though, when you gutted out in an opening round series against Orlando, and there's some real concerns about that team even advancing to get to this point, and you see a run, and it's in the fourth quarter, and Cleveland goes on an 11-0 run to tie this ball game late. You're sitting there going, ooh, like things get a little bit tighter here. What did it say to you that they're still able to win by double figures?
That they know who they are. They just had to buckle down on things. Like you said, they just went through a really tough series in the first round, and they weathered that storm. So if nothing else, they know they could survive. They could take a punch and survive and then come back from it. So I think they just leaning into that. I think Cade is an unbelievable leader, and he keeps them steady, and he keeps them going the right direction. But they got a solid team, man, and they lead, like he said, they lead with their defense. So I really like that about them.
Yeah, the first game is always about trying to fill your opponent out, right? Trying to see, okay, can this guy hit me with a jab? How hard can they hit? Can we withstand their hit? And I think for Cleveland's standpoint, now they have to adjust and adapt. And I look at their front court, right? We saw in the latter stages of the game, they had Evan Mobley trying to contain Durham, and Durham was still getting those rebounds. He's a monster guy. Is Jared Allen going to be able to play significant minutes in this series? Or are they going to be able to play their twin towers of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen? Does Detroit's matchup problems, does that eliminate Cleveland from being able to play the lineup that they notoriously use throughout the regular season? So it's all about, okay, how is Cleveland going to do this now? Because major adjustments are going to have to be made. Turnovers, 20 turnovers led to 31 points for Detroit, so they got to clean things up on that area. But overall, pretty good game.
Meanwhile, you mentioned some of those adjustments. Cleveland's going to have to figure that out. Just stepped into the podium right now, the head coach of the Cavaliers, Kenny Atkinson. Let's take a listen.
Kenny, why do you think turnovers were such an issue for you guys tonight?
Got to look at it. I always look at it like it's a team thing. It always kind of starts with our spacing. I think screening is another thing. They got elite defenders. We have to get them off our ball handlers. They were stuck like glue to our ball handlers. So got to do a better job there. And then we got to win our spot too. They're taking off. They took us off our spot, especially in the first half. Kind of riding off catches, and I think at the end of the day, they were the more aggressive team, and that manifests itself in, them turning us over, the rebounding, obviously, and also the free throw disparity, right? You can say, well, I think halftime was 22-8, I think, in free throws. So usually the more aggressive team gets to the free throw line. So they definitely had that advantage. I thought the second half, better force by us, better energy. We don't play that well, and 5-minute mark, it's a tie game, right? 93-93, we're right there. We miss a free throw block out, which drives every coach crazy. And those are momentum. Those are big plays, and so you could argue missed opportunity. Tied on the road, game 1. After that it was a little bit of an avalanche for them.
You brought up the free throw disparity, and going back to the last series, Donovan only shot 16 of them in the entire 7-game series and only shot 2 tonight. Why do you think he has not been able to get to the line the way that he could in the regular season?
It's a good question, Dan. I mean, I'm just going to continue to plead with him to get to the paint, get to the rim. That's all you can do. That's all you control. We just got to keep driving the ball. You meet aggressiveness with aggressiveness, and then we got to make the right reads. So keep getting to the paint. It'll turn. It usually does with the free throws.
It kind of goes without saying, but when Jarrett Allen is in that kind of a foul trouble and you don't have him available, how does that shift? Just how you can kind of game plan and counter adjust?
Yeah, messes your rhythm up, messes rotations up. But some of those, they weren't his fouls. As we got a breakdown, they had a back door, and we he's there and trying to clean up. Usually it's not the cause of him being in a bad position. It's more a breakdown from another person. He's got to come over and help. So just sputtered us a little, got us off. Duncan Robinson gets free. That was a killer, right? He got free from some, frustrating ones for us, right? You gotta chase him. You got to stay attached. And I thought that was a big key. But Cade, he still played well. We didn't stop him by any means, but maybe slowed him up a tad.
Hey, Kenny, you talked about not feeling like you got...
JB, we saw Darren affecting the game in a bunch of different ways, whether it was offensive boards, making blocks that seemed pretty clutch. Where'd you see him just being the most effective tonight?
Again, his all-around game is effective for us. I thought down the stretch in particular, his will to want to go get the ball and the offensive rebounds that he had and how he imposed his will on the game to give us extra possessions. Defensively being in the right spot to limit some of the early penetration, showing his frame. I thought he did a great job for us all around.
Hey, Coach, before the game, I asked you what are some of the benefits that you could take away from that 7-game series. The way this team started and the way they was able to execute at the end after the game was tied, how much of what we saw was a testament to that?
All of it. Understanding what the moment needs and what's called for, and then having the poise and confidence to go out and execute it. And, playing in 3 basically elimination games, you understand that. You understand, how important starts are, the urgency. You understand, how to close and how to finish and how to get to your spots. And then you grow belief that you can. And I think that series did a lot of that for us.
JB, you finished with 31 points off of turnovers this evening. Seemed like just about every possession you had your hands up in their business, and forcing a million turnovers. It just seemed like, was there a real emphasis going into this game of just mucking it up in there?
That's who we are defensively, right? That's what our physicality does, to people. It puts them in tight spots, and then they got to make great plays in tight spots. The aim is to wear you down as much as we possibly can. We want to be as physical with you as we can. We want to put our body on you as much as we can, pick you up full court as much as we can, and then make this, it's about a series, right? It's not just one game, and there's quick turnarounds, right? So now, can we force your legs to be a little bit heavy because we're putting that weight on you, we're putting that pressure on you, and see if we can wear you down over a series. But it's not easy, right? It's not easy, and we know this is going to be a long, tough series for us, but we got to know and believe in our system and who we are, that we can sustain it and continue that physicality. And tonight I thought we did a great job keeping them off the free throw line while being physical too.
JD didn't get it going scoring-wise until the fourth quarter, but his defensive rebounding was strong all night. He had some blocks, and then the 2-man game with him and Cade got going as well. What did you see from him, and especially late, where him and Cade were able to get that going in the way that they didn't in the first round?
Yeah, they're comfortable, obviously. The way they're being guarded is different. The coverages are different for them, so they know their outlets. They know where to put the ball when necessary. But again, I'm not, here and listening to harp on the JD scoring piece, right? Like, JD does so much for our team all around that, obviously we know he's capable of scoring, but his impact is felt no matter what.
Played 10 guys in the first quarter, got contributions from all kinds of players. Was this a strength in numbers kind of game for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the depth that we've developed over the season. That's the trust that we've developed in guys, throughout the year. And even if it's short stints and it gives a guy a blow, like, you can go out there and be full speed and be, pick your pressure up, be more physical. And we can just keep throwing bodies at people. And again, I think it's a strength of ours.
JB, it seemed like, down the stretch of that last series, Duncan was kind of doing a little bit of everything when maybe his shot wasn't going, but tonight he was really able to establish stuff for you guys early in the third and fourth. Just when he's able to get his shot going, how impactful is that?
I mean, it just spreads the defense. The way that teams have to guard him, they have to chase him. They have to put 4 eyes on him because he's getting screening action. And now that opens up the game. Either he's getting his shots like he was, or it opens up the game for everybody else, where everybody else gets a chance to get loose.
You talk about Jenkins a little bit in the first series. It took him a little while maybe to get used to being in the playoffs or whatever, but in the end of that series, and particularly tonight, he seemed to be finding it. How much did he contribute to what happened?
A ton. He's grown, right? And I think that's, the story of DJ is like every step of the way you watch him learn and grow and take the experience and become better for it. It was funny, because like he did that first game of that first series, he was trying to get comfortable. But if you go back and watch it, it was like every game he got a little bit better and then he got comfortable. And I think that's showing and carrying over to now.
Hey, Coach, what did you see from Ron Holland tonight, and what was it like? What was the conversations like that you had with him in those couple of games where he did not play against the Magic?
You just got to stay ready. We've talked to the guys that these either quarters, games, series, like roles and responsibilities are going to change. Whatever your skill set that you have is going to come necessary at some point. So just make sure when you get your opportunity, you're ready.
And just what did you like about Tobias? JD kind of had his fingerprints all over the game. He was a game high, plus 17. Where did you kind of see him being most effective, whether it was offensive boards, defense, whatever you saw?
Just being active all game long. I thought, he was all over the game, but I thought just his movements on the offensive end and defensive end, he was like all over the place. So just getting offensive boards, creating winning plays, extra plays for the whole group, extra effort plays. And that's what playoff basketball is about, is just exerting yourself all throughout the game and stepping up. And I thought he did a great job of that, just embracing this moment. First game of the second round at home. It's the type of energy we need from him consistently on a nightly basis. But also I just think, it's the playoffs and he's finding his footing. And game by game, he's just continuing to improve and just fuel off of the last game. I'm proud of him, and you just got to keep it going.
Tobias, you guys talked a lot about just getting off to a better start, to lead by 18 in the first quarter, and then from that point on, it's just responding to runs. What allowed you guys to get off to a hot start, and then what did you like about how you set that tone early?
I thought our defense was dialed in early in the game. We just were in the moment of getting stops, getting plays offensively, figuring out ways that we can kind of get the mismatches we want, but just playing off of our, off of our rhythm and our movement. And I thought overall we did a good job of attacking them and figuring out who we wanted to put in the plays and just finding our flow out there. So, it's like I say, teams that go to Game 7 usually relax in this type of game. We said before the game, don't let that be our team, right? And so for us, just coming out with that type of energy, that type of fuel to keep us going, embrace the crowd, embrace this moment, and just find our rhythm.
Device along those same lines, is there something in the start of this series that you could say you took from the last series and applied, stuff that you guys talk about, what you learned from going 7 games, and did you see it manifest itself in tonight's game?
Yeah, well, the first one was protect our court, obviously. And then outside of that, win a possession game. We talk about early in the game. I thought we could have even done a better job of being on the glass. So there's things in this game that we can take as well and get better at and fuel us for the next game. This is what this game is about now, is those type of adjustments to be made. They'll make an adjustment, but at the same time, there are things that we could have done better out there as well, especially to sustain that lead. I mean, we got it tied up there. It's not something that we want, but we were able to figure out plays and ways to get ourselves out of that. I thought just the presence of Cade and JD getting downhill, Duncan shooting tonight, DJ coming off the bench and just being aggressive for us and being that spark was huge. So total team effort, and we just got to keep it rolling.
Hey, Tobias, you talked about the fast start you guys had, but what are your thoughts about the way this team was able to come together and finish in the fourth quarter, especially those last 3-4 minutes after they tied the game?
Just staying composed. I think everybody kind of understands from the last round. We've been here before, so just staying relaxed. There was one point in the game we were down. We were up 10 points, but it was kind of like just changing the narrative of our body language and our energy of like, we're still up 10 points. It's playoff basketball. Understand that they've made a little run here, but let's put a halt to their run and really figure out a way to get back up in this game. So I think we've learned a lot from the Orlando series as well to take us to this one. And, for our whole entire team and our group, it's embracing this experience, it's embracing playoff basketball, but it's also staying ready and taking it moment by moment, game after game. And I think, we were able to do that tonight, and you saw that in the plays we were making offensively and defensively.
Tobias, you mentioned defense you guys attacked right from the start. It looked like they finished with 20 turnovers. You guys had 31 points off of turnovers. With their guards, everybody knows who their guards are. Is that imperative that you guys attack the way you did, especially on their guards?
Yeah, man, but that's our system defensively. We know they have guys who can get buckets out there at the guard position. So it's really maintaining them and making every single one of their looks hard. They're dynamic scorers, can score from the three, off the bounce, and can get to the rim. So, we have to be as solid and as present as ever with our system defensively. And I thought we did a good job of that in a lot of spurts tonight.
Tobias, after Game 4 in the Orlando series, you talked about how you guys needed to play with more urgency and needed to, meet the moment better throughout this postseason. And ever since, you guys have won 4 straight. And you've kind of touched on some of the, areas that you guys have grown. But what have you seen specifically from this team since that moment that's allowed you to be where you are?
Oh, I think we're playing like a step quicker in terms of like our instincts on the floor. Offensively and defensively, just moving to space. We still could do better. There was many plays out there with 50-50 basketballs that we have to get. We still have to dominate the game in terms of making those extra effort winning plays. Those are huge in playoffs. Some of those are chase down blocks. Some of those are, tonight we turned it over and DJ got the steal back. And, those type of momentum shifting plays are huge in this type of environment and for our team. And so, I still think we can do a better job of that, all of us collectively. But I think that in terms of those plays and our instincts offensively and defensively, we have picked it up. And we seem a little bit more awake and alive in many different areas, which is good for us.
Tobias, I know it's only been one game against those guys, but after 7 against Orlando, in what ways does Cleveland feel different, either physically, stylistically, compared to the Magic?
That's a brand new series, and the Magic series is over. This is a different dynamic of a team. A lot of scorers in this group that can get buckets. Big team as well. Orlando's a big team. But I just think, dynamic team, and they just present different guys out there who can come in the game and shake some things up. So, they're in the second round for a reason. And so for us, it's a new test. Obviously, like I think yesterday, just us getting in the gym, getting the game plan, it was kind of like, okay, like Orlando's over. Like it's on to the next chapter now. Everybody get your film out. Get your personnel out, get ready, and understand who we're going against here, understand our coverages and what we're in and how we can be the best at our system. So that's what this series presents. But, we're up for the challenge. I thought tonight we did a great job of that. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, so a good line of questioning there to Tobias Harris. By the way, once more players hit the podium, we'll get you those press conferences here on the association. Two things stood out to me on Tobias Harris's comments, Chris. Number one, he said, hey, the Orlando series, that was something they were able to take away. And he made reference, and I think it was in a respectful way, about this Cavs team being a good team. There's a reason why they're here. You make an argument, stylistically, say what you want about it. Cavaliers are a better team than the Orlando Magic. We saw it in the regular season. I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying they're a better matchup for them, but sell me on why Pistons fans should be pretty confident. I asked Q in one of our breaks, I'm like, yo, you like Detroit? And emphatically, he likes the Pistons in this series. Sell me on this squad, though.
Well, I like the Pistons in this series because they're a physical team. Cleveland doesn't want to play physical. Like, they don't have the personnel that you think of that's going to go out there and hit you in the mouth and try to do it again. That's the Pistons DNA. And you look at, you saw the highlight clips of this game. You see it, like, the defenders, they were getting all up in them. They were crowding them, weren't giving them space. There was very little separation that the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm talking about James Harden, even Donovan Mitchell, that they could generate. That just showed you how fully engaged they were with their defensive tenacity. And so I think if they have that mentality going through the rest of this series, it's going to be a pretty tough series for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Q, can I play devil's advocate here? If I'm a Cavaliers fan and I'm watching the association, I'm like yelling at the TV. We got 19 turnovers leading to 31 points. Can't get much worse than that. We got a Pistons team that had more than double the amount of free throw attempts in a game. We saw Detroit hit 2 buzzer beater threes at the end of quarters. And with about a minute to go, we're talking about a 2-possession game. Like, it feels like they're kind of like knocking on the door here. Like, there was a path for Cleveland to steal this game.
No, yeah, I mean, it wasn't as lopsided as the score looks like. A 10-point win, like Coach Atkinson said. At one point, it was 93-93. They allowed the offensive rebound off the free throw and then the 3. The avalanche after that. But I mean, the Cavs, you gotta, obviously you lost the game, but there's some positive takeaways from it, and you see some things that work. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, to me, it's gonna come down to like Chris was saying earlier. Is Jared Allen and Mobley gonna be able to play together? Is he gonna be able to stay out of foul trouble? And then once it got late, it was kind of like we had been doing what we were doing, so they didn't really come back with Allen because he was kind of out of it at that point. So I think that I don't think they're gonna be more physical, but I think that size can make a difference on the interior for Cleveland.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think also when you think about Detroit, they didn't play particularly well in the offensive end. Cade Cunningham hit timely key shots, but he was 6 of 19 from the field, so they can look at it like they played better. And another thing, we're talking about Cleveland. You could say, well, Cleveland had 20 turnovers. Well, Detroit
made that happen.
Yeah, Detroit made that happen. It wasn't just like careless turnovers. Detroit took it. So they're going to have to play offensively, play more physical. That means securing the ball. That means taking it right to their chest on a drive, initiating some offense, because the free throw line, Detroit got to the free throw line 35 times to Cleveland 16 times. So oftentimes that means you're settling for jump shots too much. So you're going to have to get to the hole, generate some contact, and try to muck the game up.
All right, so the backcourt with Mitchell and Harden, they combined for 10 of those turnovers. To be fair, Harden had 7 of them. Take me when you're on the floor, defending him. What did you see Detroit do? What do you want to try to accomplish when Harden's out on?
You don't want him to get his rhythm. I mean, you especially when he's in that ISO, tween, dribble. You gotta poke at it. You gotta jab at it. You can't allow him to get comfortable and get his rhythm. So I think they were doing that, man. They were pushing up, pressuring up on him. Guys getting up under him and trying to get into his chest and make it difficult. I mean, anybody who knows Harden, that's his deal. If he gets to get comfortable and get into his rhythm and rock you to sleep and do all of his step backs and all that, you in trouble. They didn't really allow him to do that. You see this. They were really into the ball. They were very handsy with him and trying to use their, get deflections and touches on the ball. So, I mean, if they're going to continue to do that for him, it's going to be difficult. Now, he is hard, and he still can weather that and figure things out. But they did what they were supposed to do today. They were aggressive with him, and they didn't let him get comfortable.
I want to see Harden, when he's creating or initiating offense, I want to see him go to score. A lot of times I felt like he was trying to draw a foul.
Yeah.
And there were certain times where I felt like me and Q was watching it. Like there was certain times, especially one second half, it might have been the fourth quarter, where he had a baseline drive. He got past Cade, but then he tried to create some contact, didn't get the call, then ended up shooting a wild shot. And so I want to see him look to score more. Not look to get to the free throw line, look to score.
Yeah, one guy who also was pretty effective getting to the bucket was Donovan Mitchell. Goes for 23 points. He's just getting to the podium right now. Let's bring it to you here on the Association.
The Don.
Oh, yeah.
Donovan, at times during the Toronto series, you guys struggled taking care of the basketball, and that led to a lot of points for the Raptors, and that was an issue again for you guys tonight. Why do you think you struggled in that area as a group?
I think just attention to detail. We got to be sharp, and we just weren't. With that being said, so many things that we can control. I think it's just a matter of just being sharp. There was some carryover in that regard, like you said, from last series, but we'll clean that up and move forward.
The series against Toronto, you only took 16 free throws. You only had 2 attempts tonight, and I know that there was a big free throw disparity between the two teams, but why do you think individually you're not getting to the free throw line as much as you had during the regular season?
I want to separate this from the game. It says the free throw disparity is not why we lost tonight. I want to make sure I say that, but I don't know. I'm trying to get downhill, and a friend of mine got fined for talking about flop, so I'm not going to try to double down. But I mean, I feel like that's what I got to do at this point. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get downhill, trying to get to the bucket, and sometimes my people are in my way, and I'm trying to fight through contact, and I'm not getting these calls. You said I had, 13 in the last series? 16? I mean, I'm just not getting the calls. I don't know why. I don't flop. Maybe that's why. And this isn't just a tonight thing. This has been the entire series, and it's frustrating a little bit, but because I'm such a dynamic driver, right? But I can't control that. So if I'm not going to call for me, I got to find a way to finish through that. But you know me, I'm never one to sit here and complain, and that's not why we lost the game tonight or whatever. But at some point in time, I feel like me getting to the basket's got to relate to something. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
Hey, Donovan. You mentioned that that's not why you lost the game. Where do you feel like the game was lost?
Where do we feel like the game was lost? We had some turnovers, missed blockouts, fouls. I mean, and like I always say, I always look at internally for myself before I go to the team, and I fouled Duncan Robinson on the and-one. I could have helped Evan on a block out on the free throw rebound that Jalen Duren gets, and it gets to Duncan Robinson for a 3 and 6 points. It's just stuff we can control, right? And I think we all, will do a better job, but it just starts with looking, at ourselves, and I that's what I'm doing right there. And we'll be better in that regard, but it's just stuff that we can control.
Donovan, you had really productive nights against this team during the regular season from a scoring standpoint. You had 14 of the first 28 points for you guys. From that point on, what did you see, just in terms of your scoring output?
Well, it's a balance, right? I think, trying to still be aggressive, sometimes got to command the ball. Sometimes it's staying space, and I've always said that that's the balance, right, that you play. And we were getting downhill to score, but we weren't getting stops. So if we get stops, and when those points that we're scoring, and whether it's the invert pick and rolls, whether it's the floaters, it's J at the rim, or at the float, Dean on a 3, it looks and feels a little different. But when they keep scoring, it just, it's one of those things. So he's got to find a balance, and like I said, just take my looks, be aggressive, but it's a balance.
So much has been said about how instrumental Jared is on the defensive end from a communication standpoint and several other aspects. When he's unavailable like that for several minutes, just how does that shift what you guys are able to do?
I mean, when you play a team like this, he's instrumental to what we do defensively, right? So 3 fouls in the first quarter, it's tough. He only played 18 minutes. And, their bigs are tough. They on the boards, Cade's getting downhill, trying to find ways to contest. And we've seen it all year with him, right? So it's definitely tough to not have him out there on the floor. But even in those situations, maybe Ev, next game that's in foul trouble, right? We still, as a collective, got to find a way together to either get stops, rebound, or protect the rim in any way we can.
James, you guys could talk collectively about trying to limit the turnovers
or you could try to live with them. Do you think these turnovers are something that are correctable?
Yep. 1,000,000%.
And what do you think?
Like some of them are, like Don just said, you look within first, and you look at my turnovers, and a lot of them were just on me and nothing they did. So, and which led to I don't even know how many transition points they had, but it was way too many. And I mean, if I had to put my print on one thing on the game, that's the game right there. I mean, how many points they had in transition? Off our turnovers?
20, 31.
That's the game. Like, it's nothing else. Like we talked about last year, you get a shot on glass, even half of that, and it's a different ball game. So, for me, I got to be better, and I will be better turning the basketball over. From turning the basketball over, getting shots up, and then it gives our defense a chance to get back and get set. I think we did it. Other than that, we played a pretty solid game.
And then, Donovan, there's been a lot of talk, at least today, about the familiarity between the teams. The way they defended you tonight, did you see any staples of the way JB ran defense when he was here? Like, it was the way they defended you, was it familiar?
Me or the group?
You.
Like
what you saw tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Isaac was here. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that type with Thompson. You know what I mean? So yes, like there's some familiarity, and they're a really good defensive team. But at the end of the day, you still got to find ways to be productive. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it definitely feels a little similar. But Thompson's a hell of a defender. So is Jenkins and all these guys. They play great team defense as well. So just got to find ways to be productive throughout.
Donovan, Kenny talked about just the energy level maybe not being there tonight and feeling like they were the aggressors. Mm-hmm. What role do you play in sort of making sure game 2 that's not an issue and the energy is there and you guys kind of throw that first punch?
Yeah, I mean, just understanding that they're going to throw a punch. They're at home. This isn't like, this is a situation where we know this team and we both played a game 7. So for me, just keeping it cool, collected, trying to be aggressive. Like obviously, like shots were going in to start, trying to bound my way to get downhill, being in the passing lanes, trying to be on the boards, communicating in huddles, communicating on the floor. Those are the little things you can do, right? And go from there. And even though we spotted them 16 points in the first quarter, you know what I mean? So like that in itself is tough to come back from, right? So understanding that, hey, like, they took care of home court game 1. That's all this is. We got to find a way to steal game 2.
And then James, when you're having a performance where there's a lot of turnovers, your shots maybe not falling, but then you come out in that fourth quarter and sort of are put the catalyst for the comeback that you guys made. How have you kind of learned throughout your career to just kind of compartmentalize that stuff and not let it impact you as you get deeper in the game to still have an impact?
You get different stints of the game, and one stint you might come out and play the best basketball ever. You might hit every shot, and then you might come out and not make any shots. You know what I mean? It's like you had even kill the entire game. Like this game is so. This game is it's a long game. It's long quarters. It's long games. It's a long series. So, I can't. I'm luckily I've been in a situation a lot to where I know how to like just balance, collect myself, and go out there and just understand what they're doing and how can I be effective. And I did that in the fourth quarter. So, different series. Like first quarter we spot them 16 points. We give them 31 points. Off our turnovers in transition. Like that's the game, and we watch film, we figure out our spacing, things like that, but you don't turn the basketball over and get off to a better start, and we still tied the game up twice, in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. So simple.
James, you've talked about reading the game and reading situations and things like that. For you, what is the pass-shoot balance? What are you looking for in that kind of situation?
Possession by possession. Possession by possession. Like I'm not, like if I need to go out there and score 30, like if that's the game is dictating that, then I go out there and score 30 or whatever the case may be. If the game is dictating, what the game dictates what I go out there and do. You know what I mean? So, and that's, tonight fourth quarter was a little bit more aggressive. So just figuring out, this is a different series, a different team. So just figuring out what they're doing, what they're trying to take away. and then counterpunch and be ready to go for game 2. But luckily for me, I'm not just a scorer. I impact the game in a variety of ways. So that's a plus and a benefit for myself. But as a team, I think we'll all play better. We'll watch film and we'll get better for game 2.
And then for either one of you guys, you held Cade to 6 of 19 from the field. What do you make of the defensive effort, and what does it take throughout the remainder of the series?
It's pretty good. It can be a lot better. I mean, obviously we know who Cade is and what he's capable of and what he's been doing. And it's not just one person's job. It's all of our job to, make it difficult on him. Not just him, but his entire team. But we know, he is the head of the snake. So, we got to be better figuring out, ways that we can make it more difficult for him and more difficult for, Duncan Robinson with 5'3", things like that, to where we can control it. And we do that, we'll have a better chance in game 2. But we still gave ourselves a chance, with all the things we didn't do right. I don't feel like we played well at all tonight, and we gave ourselves a chance, which is a positive. So. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, you don't really get, you lose. Like it's either you win or you lose. You don't really get reward points for, losing and not playing well. So, different outcome for game 2.
Yeah. Well, back here on the association, just a little while ago, it was the Detroit Pistons winning game number 1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Going on right now, by the way, is OKC and Los Angeles. You got the Lakers that are kind of hanging tough. When that game is over, we got complete post-game coverage here on NBA TV. But the one guy from the Pistons that you fear, really from distance, Duncan Robinson, 5 triples in this game, goes for 19 points, and he's addressing the media.
Duncan, it seemed like the energy was kind of coming from a little bit of everyone tonight. I mean, just you guys have talked about it all season, but when everyone's able to contribute like that, just how effective does that make you guys in a postseason game?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's been our identity all year, is just getting energy and those sort of plays from, basically 1 through 11, 12, however many we play. And I thought some guys came in and just gave us a huge lift. I thought Ron was awesome. I mean, doing what he did, even just in a short amount of time to come in and do that after, maybe things not going his way in that first series, for a young player to come in and do that. I have the utmost respect for that, because he just kept his head, was in the gym every day working, and, prepared himself for an opportunity like this to come in and give us a spark.
Duncan, you had a big scoring night tonight. Can you talk about the role of, being the guy who has to hit the three-point shot, particularly in a playoff game, where you're expected to kind of do one big thing. Every time you get the ball, the crowd is basically on its feet. You're not drawing a foul necessarily. You're probably not going to get a rebound. It's do it or don't do it. Can you just talk about what that's like, and especially in this kind of pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable playing that role. I played it much of my life, definitely all of my NBA career. So it's just, part of what comes with the territory. But this is what you live for. This time of year. This is what all the work's for. This is what we're building towards all year. So, it's not always going to be perfect, right? Like even in that game 7, I thought I probably got my best looks of the series and didn't make as many as I would have liked to. But it's a group effort, and I got to keep shooting them, and that's one thing that I don't take for granted, because the whole staff, all my teammates, are just on me about continuing to be aggressive, and that just gets...
All right, back here on the association, we'll put a bow on a Game 1 win for the Detroit Pistons against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Biggest adjustment you expect to see from either one of these teams, Chris, heading into game number 2?
Well, for Cleveland, they have to shore up on the turnovers, make sure they play a clean basketball game. Donovan Mitchell getting to the free throw line. That's what he said is going to be his focus moving forward.
Yeah, I feel Detroit comes with more of the same. More physicality, more Cade. And I think Durant has a 20-point game.
Mm-hmm. He definitely.
He do.
The way he was bodying Evan Mobley in the second half, it definitely looked like that's in order.
Yeah, 11 points for him, 12 rebounds in this one. Keep in mind, Lakers, by the way, I turned to you. I was like, man, it's an 8-point game. Don't look now. Make it 12-point.
Yeah,
OKC starting to look to pull away.
Remember how Thanos was like, I am inevitable? The blowout is inevitable.
It's starting to feel that way. As soon as Lakers and Thunder is done, we got you covered for a brand new edition of the association. We'll get you some of those press conferences, and then at the end of the night, it's a fresh edition. We'll recap all of the games on the post-up. Looking forward to this one. Yeah, this is starting to look inevitable heading into the fourth quarter. Appreciate you guys watching.
Look, if you're an executive, this shirt is a must-have in your